Hello, my name is Bo. I sometimes go by the name of Simon, and this is a board game special. I'm going to be talking about my top 10 games of 2018. You may have noticed this channel has kind of died down in terms of the video content that's being put out there, and simply that's because I got a job. But I thought I would do something, and that is at least put out my top 10 games of 2018. So this is a list of games that have come out in 2018. There's no expansions because I felt like that was perhaps cheating. These are the games that I think have really excited me when it comes to playing board games, at least for the games of 2018. Obviously, I've played other games, I've played tons of games this year, which has been great, but these are only ones that came out in 2018 for those wondering. So, without further ado, let's just get started. The first one, and this was probably the most difficult, the top 10 spot is really where a lot of games get cut off. And so if you make it through, then hey, that's great. For me, Gaea Project was probably the best one out of the collective bunch that got cut off. It is very similar to Terra Mystica. In fact, it's designed by the same people. It has the same kind of theme of terraforming planets. You play as a faction. And a lot of the mechanics carry over into Gaea Project. The one thing that really struck with me though is the way everything is way more better connected. For example, you have technology trees, and each of the technology trees will grant you different benefits in different aspects. Some might help you terraform, some might help you get workers, some might help you get more technology. But I really like that interconnectivity, and that's where Gaea Project solved me. Terra Mystica had the cult track, but the cult track always felt like it was separated from the rest. The shipping track always felt like it was separated from the rest. Where Gaea Project kind of brings them all together, wrangles them in, and creates a much more compelling gameplay. That being said, there's still some issues with it. I don't like the artwork. I think the components could be a bit nicer. I don't like the plastic feeling, and it just doesn't look that nice. But it is a nice, tight, terraforming Terra Mystica package. Definitely do recommend it. Next is the roll and write game of my year. Now, there's been a few. There's been Welcome to, which has been good. There's been the new rail game, Dice Rails, I think, that's come out from Simon. However, for me, the one that has stood out the most has been Ganz Clever. At least I'm hoping I'm saying that right. This is a game where simply you're going to roll dice, you're going to be writing off numbers on different pieces of paper, and you're trying to work this kind of combo in to this game. Essentially, whenever you try to write off a number, you might end up getting a bonus, which can then be used to write off another number, which can then be used to get a bonus, and it kind of snowballs from there. It's very simple to play and plays quite fast, yet it's insanely rewarding whenever you manage to pull off something great. And likewise, if you mess up, you feel so much pain. But it comes in a nice small box, and it's definitely the one I recommend. It's the easiest roll and write game to kind of grasp as well. Then we have High Society. This is Running Kinetic. This is actually a reprint of a game I think that came out like in 1990s. Running Kinetic games have been around for a very long time. This is an auction style game in which you have a set of cards and you're bidding on various points. These points could either be 1 to 10, and there's a couple of cards that can change up your score even further. But what amazes me about this game and what I love about it is the way things get valued over time. If a 10 comes out really early on, you're not really sure how much money you want to put into buying that. But then someone else buys it, and all of a sudden the 9 and the 8 become insanely valuable. But likewise, the first card that comes out could be a 1, and you're thinking, well, how much do I really want just for 1 point? And 1 point can be enough to change the game. It could be enough to win you the game. I think High Society is brilliant. It is this open-formed auction game. It looks beautiful. It plays smoothly and simply. I think for what you get in the box, this is a great purchase and definitely a highlight of 2018. Then we have Council 4. This is also a cheeky reprint, and that Simon released it this year in 2018, but I think it was released by Cranial Creations back in 2016. I need to double check that. But this is an advanced version of Ticket to Ride where you're building these kind of routes between various cities, and what I love about it is it has a combo appeal. You're hand managing your cards to make sure you get to the right cities because you have to appease the Council 4, but at the same time, every time you put down a route between the different cities, you're generating more and more and more of an income. And then of course you have these great moments where you lay down a track, you get 10 coins, you spend those 10 coins to buy 2 more assistants, use those assistants to then get another bonus, and this goes on from there. I think this is a great game. I think for people coming out of Ticket to Ride, this is another worthwhile step, and it's definitely surprised me for how good it is. But yeah, definitely highly recommend it. Then at number 6 is a game you probably all know about, and this is Root. It was kickstarted last year and has come out. This is a game of asymmetry in which you play one of 4 or 5 or 6 various woodland factions, all completely different in how they play. What struck me is that I like how the asymmetry is worked. It doesn't. It can be rough. Don't get me wrong. This is a very nasty game, and the art is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. But this is a nasty game that can lead you to having some really tenuous moments between your friends. But that being said, it is a clever combat, clever war game. It's simple to kind of grasp. I think one of the shining things about it is because they've created all this asymmetry, they did not skip on having the rules be complicated. In fact, the rules are easy to grasp. There are a few nagging issues of some of the rules not making that much sense, but for learning purposes, this is a breeze to teach compared to the previous one of Vast. I think Root is a lovely game. If you like a war game, then this is definitely something to pick up from 2018. Then we have Teotihuacan. I think that's how you say it. Teotihuacan, City of Gods. This is by the same designers that did Sulkin back in the day, and this is kind of their new one. You essentially are a noble trying to basically get as much godly reputation as possible before the end of the world or before the epoch happens. And you do so by placing your workers down in various spots. The more workers you place down in a certain spot, the more resources you get. But the trick is, those workers are dice, and as they slowly move around the board to different spots, they're going to level up and get you more rewards. It's a fine balancing act, thinking of where you want your guys to stop off, because you have to balance food and you have to balance their levels. If they ever get too high, if they ever get to level 6 on the dice, then they die off horribly in a rapture or get ascended or whatever it is, but you have to manage that carefully. There's also this wonderful temple building aspect to the game where you're slowly constructing this temple monument and gain bonus points if you manage to match the symbols. This is a very much a worthwhile successor to Tolkien, and it looks gorgeous. It feels insane, and if you can get it at a good price, I absolutely recommend it. If you are a fan of Tolkien, then this is a sure deal for you. Even if you're not, I do recommend it. I think the dice placement is so cleverly done in this. Anyway, that's my number 5, Teotihuacan. And number 4 is Coinba. This is by the same people that did Lorenzo El Magnifico, and it very much follows the same line as Lorenzo El Magnifico. The big difference is, this is a game I like. Lorenzo El Magnifico I liked as well, but I like it because it is a slimmed down, tight, juicy, compact version of Lorenzo El Magnifico. Essentially, on your turn, you're going to be drafting dice and using those dice to then buy different people who will help you in 4 different tracks, which could be to get money, could be to get power, could be to get more movement across the board, similar to the game Orleans, in which you're trying to move to different cities to get bonuses. And there's also one of skullduggery. But I love the fact that all you're doing on your turn is really just drafting characters and then using those characters' powers to generate your income. It is simple. It plays in 45 minutes. It is beautiful artwork. I love the graphical styling of this game, and there's definitely room for a couple of expansions if they want to go down that route. It comes in a lovely box. The insert is great, and it plays again in 45 minutes, which is vastly better to Lorenzo El Magnifico, yet still gives you the same experience of generating an engine over the course of only 4 or 5 rounds. It's good. It's good. Definitely a keeper for 2018. And then of course we get to the big boys now. Brass, Martin Wallace, Roxley Games kickstarted it last year, came out 2018 along with Brass Birmingham. I prefer the Lancashire version. I prefer the more wholesome version. I don't like some of the things that Birmingham has done, but I won't disagree that it's a stunning game. In Brass, you're basically a coal baron or an industrial tycoon in the Industrial Revolution, and you're busy building cotton mills to get points. You're busy building coal mines to supply those cotton mills with power. You're busy building ironworks to then build coal mines with, and then building shipyards. Birmingham has these elements of beer, which you need in order to transport any of the goods, and also adds pottery and boxes as other mediums in which to spend your money. It is a tight game in which you're trying to find the best locations for your industries, all while keeping an eye on what your opponent's doing and making sure that you don't spend too much. There's a fine balance between how much money do you want to put into this and how much money can you perceivably get out. Money is very tight, and I do like the fact that you get a very limited amount of gold each turn. But if you can use your hand of cards wisely, then you'll soar to victory. I think Brass is stunning. Roxley have done a beautiful job. Mr. Cuddington's artwork for Brass has just been brilliant. It's beautiful. It's evocative of what the period was like. I think it sits stunningly, and yeah, it is a classic, and I think it'll be a classic from now onwards. That's 2018's Brass Lancashire and Brass Birmingham. Then at number 2 is Rising Sun by Eric Lang and Cool Mini or Not. This is a sequel to Blood Rage in which you can control one of 6 mythical clans trying to take over Japan using all sorts of mythical oni and deadly creatures. What I love about this game is the auction mechanic. There's a few things I like about this game, but the auction mechanic in particular is brilliant. Whenever you have combat in an area, you have to spend money, but how much money really do you want to spend, because there might be other places you're fighting, but more importantly, what's your honor like? Because if you have a low honor, then you lose ties. If you have a high honor, you will break ties and win them. But it's so crunchy to make a combat system that doesn't simply revolve around numbers. Sure, there is the numbers game here, but you don't have to worry about dice, you don't have to worry about power cards. This is simply a case of who has more money, and what can you perceivably do about it. You can bid high to maybe take a hostage before the monster even gets a chance to attack you, or you can kill yourself off in honorable seppuku and get a whole bunch of points that way. You can even have your post sing about it afterwards. It's also beautifully stylized by Adrian Smith, and other components just make it sing. The turns when you're trying to decide what actions to do, the mandates, and you have to choose between a train action or martial action, and you have your ally sitting next to you who's also trying to have their own schemes, is brilliant. I will say now the negotiation and kind of like the deal making that some people thought this game might be is not really there. But that being said, Rising Sun is a brilliant area control game for 2018. Finally, at number 1 is Keyforge. This is by Richard Garfield. Came out 2018. It came out the end of 2018. It basically came out about a month ago, and I have been enjoying this. This is the best card game I've played in a very long time. The mechanic, the unique mechanic in that every deck is unique, is kind of seen as a gimmick for a lot of people, but for me, this is a gimmick that works. I'm attached to every single one of my decks that I buy. It's very reminiscent of anime or like things like Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon, where you have, I don't know why I said Pokemon, but Yu-Gi-Oh, in which each character has their deck of cards, but it matches who they are. The bug person has a deck full of bug creatures. The guy that likes fossils has a dinosaur deck, and so on and so on. For this, I love my decks because it feels like they belong to me. And the gameplay is brilliant. It does away with a lot of negative aspects like resource management that other games tend to fall into the trap to. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. It's a simple game, it's easy to grasp, and also it doesn't cost a lot. That's probably the biggest selling point for me, is that I don't have to spend $200 to try and get a deck or set of cards that's going to be useful in a tournament. I can simply pay $10, and that's brilliant. This has been the highlight of my year. I have 5 Archon decks, and I might get a couple more before the year's out, but I love the gameplay mechanics. I love how you're simply just tossing cards at each other, trying to get a slow seam of ember just to forge 3 keys. It's unique and different. I think Richard Garfield has proven that he's still the king of cards. Anyway, with all that being said, that's the end of 2018. I hope you have enjoyed this top 10 list. these have been, well, the games I enjoyed the most from the year. Of course, I'd love to hear about your views. Maybe you don't think the Keyforge should be on the list. Maybe you think that Rising Sun is too high. Maybe you thought that Brass doesn't deserve to be there because it didn't actually come out in 2018 originally. But please leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you guys. I do apologize again for any of the missed video content. I will try and do it occasionally when I get a chance, but of course work has been too busy. However, that's going to be it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Have a festive season and have a happy new year. Bye-bye.